Hey guys, I'm Urizi. This story is all about what if Naruto was raised by the Inuzuka family? What misadventures could stem from such an upbringing? Before we proceed with the story, please like and subscribe to this channel if you liked the video, and don't forget to check the description for the other works of the author if you liked the story. Let's start. Chapter 47, Homecoming. It was business as usual for Kotetsu Hagane and Izumo Kamizuki. As Chunin, they usually spent most of their time in the mission room, on lookout patrol, or doing guard duty at the gate, with occasional C to B rank missions. And today, they were stationed at Watchtower B. This is boring, Kotetsu yawned. Nothing ever happens when we go to lookout. You might just eat your words, Izumo warned. Remember what happened when Tojo was on guard duty not so long ago? Itachi Uchiha attacked. Itachi Uchiha of all people. I don't want to rumble with Itachi Uchiha. I just wish something slightly interesting would happen for once. All this inaction is killing my brain cells so as we speak. Izumo simply shot his friend a disapproving look until he spotted something in the distance. Hey Ko, do you see what I see? Kotetsu peered out but saw nothing. I think the monotony's getting to your head. I don't see anything. Izumo shoved a pair of standard-issue binoculars into his friend's hands and pointed to a direction. Look again. I see them. Kotetsu exclaimed. It looks like. EY, is that who I think it is? Let me take a better look, said Izumo, snatching the binoculars. He peered through them. Oh my god, it is. As soon as the search party arrived at the gates, they were warmly received by Tsume and Kuromaru and Hayashi, all of whom had been informed by Izumo and Kotetsu. Upon seeing Naruto, Tsume immediately smothered him with hugs and kisses. Pup, I'm so glad you made it back safe and sound. I can't believe you've successfully completed your first retrieval mission. Tears prickled her eyes. If your father, bless his soul, was here to see this, he would be so proud. You all must be exhausted from your journey, observed Hayashi. You bet your sweet bippy we are, Jiraiya replied. Let's go over to the Kage Tower. We'll discuss the details over a cup of tea. Well, I'm going to see Hinata, announced Naruto, careful not to use the word princess in front of his friend's father. He looked at Hayashi and Tsume. If it's alright with you, that is. I don't mind, said Hayashi. Go ahead. Tsume shrugged. Why not? Naruto gave his mother a hug and a grateful bow to Hayashi before dashing off to the hospital with Aomeru. As the adults made their way towards the Kage Tower, all activity along their route came to a halt as shinobi and civilians alike peered over whatever chore they were doing to witness the return of the wayward Senju. He actually learned the Rasengan within a week. Tsume asked, amazed. Yes, Shizune confirmed. I saw him train myself. I must say, Lady Tsume, your son is really dedicated in what he does. I wouldn't really say that, said the Inuzuka matriarch, rather flustered. Don't be modest, Tsunade put in. You should have seen the look on that traitor's face when Naruto rammed that bastard in. Your kid's crazy good. He is Rookie of the Year, after all, Hayashi quipped. Just like Minato. He might be a goofball, but he's very talented, considering his age, added Jiraiya. He's well on his way to becoming a great shinobi. Just like Minato. I agree, said Tsunade, putting her hand onto the spot where her pendant used to be. He's some kid. Just like Minato. Hinata was quietly conversing with Hanabi, Neji, and Kiba and Akamaru, when there was a knock on the door. Miss Hyuga, you have a visitor, announced a voice on the other side of the door. Let him in, said the soft-spoken girl. As the door opened, a red blur rushed in and jumped onto Hinata's lap. Aomeru-chan. Wondered a startled Hinata. If you're here, that means dash. Hello. Chirped a certain blonde as he walked in. Naruto-san. Cheered Hanabi as she ran to the blonde Inuzuka and gave him a hug. Naruto-kun. Whispered Hinata, twiddling Aomeru's ears. Bro. You're back. Exclaimed Kiba. How was the mission? Total success, replied the blonde, grinning. You mean dash? Hinata could not help but ask. Yup. Granny Tsunade has promised to heal your legs, Naruto finished. You can still be a ninja, and the best part is, you don't have to be marked with that awful seal. Naruto. The blonde whirled to face Neji. Yes, what is it? Hinata is no longer in any danger of being branded. Say what? Not so long ago, father branded the clan elders who wanted to mark Nesan, Hanabi declared. Naruto was confused. I thought Lord Hayashi was against the caged bird seal. He is, explained Neji. But the clan elders have been interfering for far too long. As clan head, Uncle is supposed to finalize all clan decisions, while the elders are only there to guide him. For a long time now, Uncle has tolerated their actions, however, by pushing Uncle to mark Hinata, they have overstepped their boundaries. Serves em right, those pruny bastards, said Naruto, plopping down on an empty chair at Hinata's bedside. The two families chatted for a while until Kiba realized that it was time for him to leave. Well, I gotta go, Kiba announced, getting up. I promised Ino that I'd run a few deliveries today. Smell ya later. Come on, Akamaru. Said Puppy gave a small yip as he followed his partner out the door. Neji and I are leaving as well, said Hanabi, tugging her cousin's hand. Our friends will be glad to know that you've returned. Why do I have to come with? Asked the Hyuga prodigy. Because father said you'd be watching over me while he's busy, Hanabi replied, towing her cousin out the door, leaving Naruto and Hinata alone in the room. Just come with me? Naruto-kun. The blonde turned a cerulean gaze at his teammate. Will I really become a ninja again? She asked nervously. Of course. Naruto assured, gently patting her hand. Are you certain? I have never been more certain in my life, said Naruto, his blue eyes locking with Hinata's lavender ones. You just have to believe in yourself and never give up. A light blush flushed against Hinata's cheeks as she was drawn into the azure orbs before her. The blush intensified when the girl realized that Naruto was unconsciously drawing his face closer to hers. Their faces were inches apart when Kiba suddenly burst back into the room. Hey guys, I just remembered I forgot my oh sweet Senju. Kiba's yelp startled the two friends back into reality. Just then, they realized that their faces were close. So close in fact, that their breaths were intermingling. Blushing furiously and apologizing profusely, Naruto jumped back, before excusing himself to leave. Aomaru followed suit, but not before flashing a glare at Kiba for ruining the moment. Seeing that Kiba was too shocked to remember what he was doing, Akamaru took the liberty to bark into his ear, bringing him out of his shock. Did I just see what I thought I saw? He asked. Hinata simply blushed and shook her head, while inner Hinata began to make plans for the demise of the older Inuzuka brother. Oh my! This isn't good, Tsunade muttered, checking her final diagnosis. What do you mean, Lady Tsunade? Asked Hinata. Beside her, Hayashi stiffened at the medic's expression, knowing that whatever she had to say was not going to be comforting in the slightest. Well, it's more of a good news bad news thing, really, explained the Senju. The fractures on your arm and legs have healed for the most part, but during the time of the fracture, some of the bone fragments were lodged into your spine. The good news is, I know a surgical technique that could extract the fragments, but the bad news is that there's a 50% chance that you might not survive the surgery. Is there no other way, Lady Tsunade? Asked Hayashi. Is this your only option? Believe me Hayashi, if there was a safer way to do this, I would have done it a long time ago. But the decision is with your daughter if she wants to proceed with the surgery. Hayashi turned to Hinata. Are sure you want to do this, daughter? There is a possibility that you might die. Father, the life of a ninja has always been full of risks, and this is no different. Hinata's eyes steeled with resolve. This is a chance I am willing to take. I am not going to let my firstborn die. Hayashi all but roared. And letting me live as a cripple is a fate worse than death. Hinata shot back. I'm sorry father, but I happen to like being a ninja. It has given me strength, happiness, and most importantly, the best friends anyone could ever have. Hayashi tried to dissuade his daughter. But my mind is made up, father. I have to do this. I am not going to give up on my dreams or happiness. Is this what you really desire? Hayashi's tone was somber. Yes, father. Then I have no choice but to hope for the best and pray for a recovery. Hayashi clasped his daughter's good hand. Stay strong, Hinata. He pulled her into a hug. Hinata burrowed as much as she could into her father's embrace. Thank you, father. And don't worry, I will be fine. Ahem. Both Hyugas turned to see that Tsunade was still in the room, tapping her pen on the clipboard. So I'll take that as a yes. Hinata's surgery was a complete success, and with the help of some motor therapy from Tsunade's program, the young Hyuga was soon up and running. As soon as she could move without assistance, Hinata returned to her combat training, which had become slightly rusty due to the time she had spent in the hospital. Thankfully, she had her friends, teachers, and family to help her out, and it was not long before she was back in action and better than ever. A week after Jiraiya and the Inuzuka duo returned with Tsunade and Shizune, Tsunade was formally inaugurated as the 5th Hokage and the event was celebrated with great pomp and splendor. Stores were closed as everyone in the entire village put on their Sunday's best and gathered in the village square outside the Kage Tower. Surprisingly, even Sasuke Uchiha, who had somewhat recovered from his encounter with Itachi, turned up for the event. Jiraiya began with the opening remarks. Citizens of Konoha, after 15 long years, one of our brethren has finally decided to return to her roots. A woman of imposing strength and beauty, one of the Densetsu no Sunin, and the granddaughter of none other than the founder himself, I give you the 5th Hokage Tsunade Senju. The crowd erupted into cheers as the new Hokage, decked in her ceremonial robes, stepped out to the balcony. Dear friends, she began. It is on this memorable day that I accept the title of Hokage, but let me be the first to say that being Hokage is not simply about power and prestige. The Kage is an honored position rooted in exemplary leadership, selflessness, and patriotism. But what is a Kage without the village? It is the village that supports the Kage and the Kage that supports his village. Let us give our best efforts for the betterment of Konoha, and may the will of fire shine in us all. The responding ovation was thunderous as the fire daimyo formally inducted the new Hokage by tapping her shoulder with the ceremonial wazukashi. Long live Tsunade! Crowed the throng. Long live Konoha! May they prosper until the end of days. One of Tsunade's first official duties as Go-Daime Hokage was to appoint the new Chunin by analyzing the results of the latest Chunin exams, and that of course involved paperwork. Lots and lots of paperwork. After grueling hours of paperwork and constant interventions from Shizune to stop her mentor from burning the documents, the new Chunin were finally chosen. Granny, I'm here. Naruto, with Aomeru on his head, came bursting through the doors, catching the attention of 5 pairs of eyes. Did I make it on time? Barely, Shikamaru remarked. I think a bit of Kakashi-sensei has rubbed off on you. You're one to talk, Naruto retorted. You're both so lazy, I sometimes wonder if you and Kakashi-sensei are distant relatives or something. Somewhere in Konoha, a Cyclopean Jonin sneezed into his book. Ahem. Shizune interrupted. I understand that it's funny to diss your Jonin instructor and all, but could you at least do that at a more appropriate time and place? Sorry. The 2 genin immediately shut up at her rebuke. Alright, let's just start this meeting so that we already can get on with our lives, said Tsunade rather testily. Shino Aburame, Shikamaru Nara, Tenten, and Naruto Inuzuka, let me be the first to inform you that due to your exemplary performance and excellent merit during the Chunin exams, I hereby promote you to Chunin rank. Both Naruto and Tenten cheered at the announcement, whereas Shikamaru appeared peeved, while Shino remained impassive. Tsunade pulled out 4 Chunin flak vests and handed one to each of the 4 teenagers. As Chunin, you are now leaders within your own rights, meaning you now have the power to decide for your team, and so on and so forth. Now get out there and show them what it means to be a Chunin of Konoha. Sasuke Uchiha was nearing the end of his patience. For weeks he had been waiting for the results of the Chunin exams, but so far there had been no word. Despite being booted out of the exams for using the Chidori, the Uchiha loyalists in the council managed to overrule Sasuke's disqualification through Kurenye's report on his timed rescue on the escort team of Sakura Harino, Ino Yamanaka, and Rock Lee during the invasion. Just then, as he was passing by the Kage Tower, he was greatly surprised and angered to see 3 of his former classmates and Neji Hyuga's teammate stepping out, each one carrying a Chunin vest. The very sight itself made the rage boil within him. He had been outranked by the academy dead last, a bug boy, a plain Jane, and his greatest rival. He clenched his fists. Apparently, even the Uchiha name could not bolster his career. One of these days, he whispered. One of these days, I will surpass you all, and you will be in the bottom, where you belong. Chapter 48, The Festival. It was now mid-November and autumn was in full swing. Already, the leaves that gave Konoha its name were piling up on the streets, and it could only mean one thing. It was once again time for the Konoha Festival of Fire. The Festival of Fire was an annual event that celebrated the coming of winter, and its main event was a bonfire ceremony at the village shrine. However, the Festival of Fire was also notorious with teenage couples. There was a local legend that if a girl and a boy had their first kiss by the fireflies light on the Festival of Fire, they would be bound to each other forever. Of course, it was just a legend, and fireflies were now very rare, but there were always the dauntless few who would try to search for the elusive nest of fireflies. But even no one had ever found the nest. With its numerous stalls and activities, the Festival of Fire was still an enjoyable event for couples, married and unmarried. Mayhap that was the reason why Hana and Inuzuka came running home one day, looking exceptionally cheerful. Deidara asked me out to the Festival of Fire, she announced gleefully. Naruto was quick to comment. And I feel sorry for him. Oh. Burn. Kiba chortled, and the 2 brothers shared a high five. That's not funny. Hana snapped, bonking both their heads. I don't really see what the big deal is, Kiba remarked, rubbing his new lump. We go to the festival every year. Yeah, but this is the first time I'm going with a date, Hana retorted. And about time too, she added rather giddily. I could think of a few good reasons why no one's ever asked you out, Naruto quipped. Hana's eyes narrowed. Say it, and I'll neuter you. Later that day, Naruto, Kiba, and their dogs were at Ichiraku's enjoying a mid-afternoon snack, when they heard someone calling, Naruto. Naruto. The addressed blonde looked up from his bowl of miso ramen to see Neji Hyuga running up to him. Thought I'd find you here, panted the long-haired boy. Yo Neji, what up? Greeted Kiba. Well, I have a really big favor to ask of Naruto, Neji replied, catching his breath. Naruto took a hearty slurp out of his ramen bowl before looking at Neji. Well, what can I do for ya? You see, it's like this. Neji began, looking rather embarrassed. You know KOH, right? Hinata's bodyguard? Well, he caught ill today, so he can't attend to his usual duties. And so I was wondering if you'd like to be Hinata's escort to the festival. What about you? Asked Kiba, poking a fish cake with his chopsticks. You're her cousin. Why don't you escort her? Neji blushed, a rare action for the boy. Yeah, about that. You see, I kinda asked Tenten out to the festival, and having Hinata around would just make her feel like the third wheel. What about your uncle? Suggested Naruto. Why do you think I'm asking you to escort my cousin? Neji snapped. Uncle will be one of the festival judges, so he will be very busy, as are the other Hyugas who have already committed to the festival. So will you do it? Will you escort Hinata to the festival? Well, I don't know. Stammered the blonde, still feeling awkward about the near-kiss incident with Hinata at the hospital. Look, you're her best friend, Neji pointed out. You're practically like her brother and an honorary Hyuga among our circles. She's most comfortable around you. Do it, bro, Kiba prodded. Now's your chance. Naruto tilted his head curiously at his brother. Chance for what? Kiba nearly face-palmed. Geez, you're hopeless. Just go for it. Woof. Trans, yeah. Go for it, Naruto. Akamaru and Aomaru chimed in. But Naruto began. Look, if it'll make you feel better, I'll ask Sakura out and we could double date or something like that, Kiba offered. But Naruto tried again. Just say yes, said Neji, getting impatient. All right. exclaimed the blonde, throwing his hands in the air, annoyed with his friend and brother's constant badgering. If I escort Hinata, will you stop bugging me? Yes, Kiba and Neji spoke in unison. Fine. I'll accompany her to the festival. Great. Said Neji. I knew I could count on you. Just drop by the Hyuga compound at around, say, 6:30, and have her home somewhere around 10. Oh, and Naruto, one more thing dash. What? Asked the blonde, turning to look at the Hyuga. If you somehow upset my cousin in any way, I will hit you with the Gyuken so hard, both your ancestors and descendants will feel it. I'll keep that in mind, Naruto replied. And I'm glad you understand, said Neji. Anyway, I have to go, I still have some errands to run. Once Neji was out of earshot, Kiba decided to state his opinion about what just happened. Looks like you got a date, he quipped, waggling his eyebrows. Naruto blushed furiously. No I don't. You and Neji badgered me into escorting Hinata. Tell him Ayame, tell him it's not a date. I think Neji pretty much pushed you into dating his cousin, said Ayame, who had been observing the entire conversation between Neji and Naruto. The blonde pouted. Etu, Ayame. You are going to spend a whole lot of time with her on the festival, and you two are bound to have some fun, so technically, it is a date, even though none of you initiated it, Ayame explained with a knowing wink. Kiba then stood up and slapped his bill on the counter. Speaking of dates, I think I'd better go ask Sakura. I did promise a double date. Well, good luck with that, said Ayame. You're not the only one who wants to ask Sakura out. Rock Lee's after her too. What? Kiba shrieked, running out. No way I'm letting Brow Boy get the lead on me. Yip. Yip. Erf. Trans, oi Kiba, wait up. Akamaru barked, chasing after his partner. Approaching the Hyuga compound, Naruto nervously brushed his blue spiral-patterned haori. Well, here goes nothing, he thought as he edged closer to the Hyuga guard house. Halt! Said the sentry. State your name and business. Naruto Inuzuka and Aomeru, answered the blonde, pointing to the dog on his head. I'm here to escort Lady Hinata Hyuga to the Festival of Fire. Ah yes, Master Inuzuka, nodded the sentry. Master Neji has informed us of your arrival. The young lady and her father are waiting for you in the main house. Naruto gulped audibly. Her father? Lord Hayashi. Yes, replied the sentry. The main house is straight ahead. As the Inuzuka duo made their way to the main house, Naruto could not help but feel conscious of the Hyuga branch members milling about. They simply stood there, watching, whispering. Upon reaching the front door, another branch member quickly ushered the blonde into the sitting room where the Hyuga clan head and his firstborn were waiting. Hayashi's hands formed a small pyramid as pale, calculating eyes scrutinized the blonde boy before him. So you will be escorting my daughter, he finally spoke. Yes sir, Naruto replied in an uncharacteristically small voice. Hayashi turned to his daughter who was dressed in a light periwinkle kimono with leaf designs embroidered in mauve thread. My child, are you certain you still want young Naruto to escort you? It is still not too late for me to arrange for Neji and Tenten to accompany you. Hinata smiled and gently shook her head. There is no need, father. I think you are forgetting that I too am a ninja of Konoha and am perfectly capable of taking care of myself. It's not that, said the Hyuga patriarch. It is your safety that I am most concerned about. Don't worry, Lord Hyuga, Naruto said. I pledge upon the Inuzuka's name that Hinata will be safe with Aomeru and me. Hayashi mulled over the Inuzuka's words. Pledging over the Inuzuka name was the most sacred act among the dog clan, and failing to fulfill the pledge would be the ultimate disgrace for that clan. Very well, he said. Hinata, you and your escort may attend the Festival of Fire on the grounds that you will be home by your curfew. Hinata gave a gracious bow. Yes father, and thank you for allowing us this evening. Do you see them? Sakura asked, craning her head over the bustling crowd. Slit-like pupils scanned the sea of heads until they landed upon a patch of sunshine yellow topped with a red ball of fur. Beside that yellow patch was a patch of bluish black with a flower pin on the side. There they are. Kiba exclaimed and began waving his hands frantically. Oi Naruto! Hinata! Over here! Naruto and Hinata were flying through the crowds when they heard a voice calling their names. At first, it hard to discern due to the cacophony of peddlers and haggling villagers, but as they walked on, the sound became clearer, signifying they were near the source. Is that Kiba? Hinata asked. Naruto strained his ears and listened again. The voice was definitely Kiba's, but the brunette was nowhere in sight. It was really hard to see through the throng of people. Just then, the blonde had an idea. He might not be able to find Kiba, but he had someone who could. Setting Aomaru on the ground, he gave the order, "Help us find Kiba, boy." At the command and the mention of Kiba, the puppy began sniffing for any trace of the older Inuzuka brother. As soon as he caught the scent, he began yipping madly. He's found him! Naruto exclaimed triumphantly. He grabbed Hinata's hand and followed the yappy dog. Let's go! Kiba's fingers clenched over the hem of his green, triangle-patterned haori. Where'd they go? They were just there a moment ago. Sakura pushed a stray lock out of her eye. Kiba, please be patient. I'm sure they're just around. But they were just there, insisted the brunette. He jumped off the barrel he was sitting on. That's it, I'm going to go look for him. Erf. I don't think that's really necessary, Sakura quipped, pointing to the red dog that had jumped out of the sea of people. Aomaru? If you are here, that means we're here. Naruto and Hinata burst out of the crowd. About time. Kiba huffed. What took you two lovebirds so long? Shut up, Kiba. Naruto growled. Hinata Hime and I are just friends, right Hinata Hime? Yes. Friends, squeaked the shy Hyuga. But not for long. Cackled inner Hinata. Kiba. Stop harassing Hinata and Naruto. Sakura scolded. Thank you, said the blonde. At least someone understands. Even if they look cute holding hands like that, finished the pinkette. Poor Hinata was embarrassed beyond compare and began blushing, whereas Naruto got flustered. I'm just looking out for her as promised, said the blonde defensively. And you should know my Nindo, I always keep my promises. Kiba was not convinced. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. You're just Desh, but Sakura cut him off. Oh, how chivalric. She squealed. She elbowed Kiba. Why can't you be like that? Hey, I may not be chivalric, whatever that means, retorted the brunette, rubbing the sore spot. But I can sure as hell show you guys how to have fun. Let's rave. Kiba took Sakura's hand and led her off into the merriment before them. Hinata watched as Kiba and Sakura disappeared into the crowd, leaving her alone with Naruto. Now's my chance for some quality time with Naruto-kun, cackled inner Hinata, rubbing her hands in glee. But just then, her happy bubble was promptly quashed when Kiba and Akamaru returned with Sakura. Forgot that we were on a double date, said the brunette, sheepishly scratching on one of the red triangles on his cheeks. Two's company, three may be a crowd, but it takes four to parte. He beckoned to Hinata, Naruto and Aomaru. Come on. The shrine grounds were abuzz with life and merriment. The whole area was dotted with a multitude of peddlers and their booths. There were games booths, food hawkers with their wares, and little curio stands with all sorts of trinkets. Strung overhead were paper lanterns that illuminated the affair, and all around, the joyful sounds of revelry could be heard. As the quartet walked through the area, they also encountered and chatted with their other friends along the way. There was Neji and Tenten at the Target booth. Tenten had already won a plush raccoon, fox, and cat, courtesy of Neji's wallet. Shikamaru and Tamari, who was visiting, facing off at the shogi tournament, and Shino and Kin, who were looking at knickknacks by one of the curio stalls. The double date was later joined by Chuji and Ino, making it a triple date. Ino smiled slyly as she looked at the pair seated in front of her. You and Hinata, huh? She mused, taking a bite of her tempura. About time you two got together. Once again Hinata had to fight the urge to faint in front of her friends, whereas Naruto nearly choked on his tea. For the nth time, it's not a date. He sputtered. She's my best friend, and I promised her family that I'd look out for her. Sakura, Kiba, Chuji, Ino, and the dogs all gave a simultaneous eye roll. Yeah, sure, whatever you say, they said. After dinner, the 6 rookies were once again enjoying the festivities at the shrine. For a while, the boys blew off their pocket money in the game booths with Kiba and Chuji winning a flower pin and a pair of butterfly hair clips for Sakura and Ino, respectively. Strangely enough, only Naruto did not win a prize. At the end of the bonfire ceremony, the festival was closed with a massive fireworks display, which Deidara had helped to prepare several days prior to the event. Everyone watched in awe and wonder as brilliant colors flared throughout the night sky. Hana was completely smitten when the pyrotechnic display formed a dog holding a flower. While an ordinary person would find it as a mere display of ingenious artistry and clever wordplay, the Inuzuka girl knew that this was the Yamanaka heir's way of showing his affection for her. Soon enough, the festival was over, and everyone went on home. As promised, Naruto escorted Hinata home. As they passed by the courtyard before the manor, the 2 young teens bid each other a good night. "Thank you for the wonderful evening, Naruto-kun," said Hinata in a whisper. "I really had a good time with you tonight." "No problem," said the blonde, scratching his whisker marks. "I'm just sorry I couldn't get you anything. Maybe I should have just saved up the money for the curio stand trinkets, instead of blowing it off at those carny games. I really suck at those." Hinata giggled. "True, you didn't win anything at the festival, but I think you've already give me the greatest gift there is." Naruto looked up. "Really, what is it?" Hinata's blush returned tenfold. "Being my friend." "Well, who wouldn't want to be your friend?" said the blonde, who again had unconsciously drawn his face closer to the girl's. "You're one of the kindest souls I've ever met. Anyone would be blessed to have you as their friend. And I'm glad that I'm one of them." Hinata pulled a pale hand to her chest. "Naruto." "Oh brother," thought Aomaru. "Here they go again. Better resolve this before someone ruins the moment again." Running up behind Hinata, the puppy gave her a hard nudge, pushing her closer to Naruto, just as the blonde moved closer once more. At that moment, their lips touched, and all coherent thought was erased from their minds. And there they stood, in the courtyard, unbeknownst to them, illuminated by the firefly's light. The sound of approaching footsteps suddenly brought them back to reality, and as soon as they realized what they were doing, they pulled away, blushing. Gotta go," said the blonde as he clumsily stumbled back. "Good night and pleasant dreams, Hime." "Come on, Aomaru. Let's go home." Hinata could not reply, but simply nodded and waved at the retreating blonde until he was already out of sight. As she entered the house, she was immediately greeted by her younger sister, who was still awake. "How was your evening, Nesan?" Hanabi asked. "Did you have a good time?" "It was magical," Hinata replied with a dreamy sigh. "It was simply magical." Chapter 49, Mission Ahoy! Winter was definitely Tsunade's favorite season. During that period of frigid weather, missions and paperwork were at their annual low, and the lazy Hokage could keep her mind occupied on other things. However, things usually never stayed as one would like them to be, and spring soon returned, along with an upsurge of paperwork and ninja missions. Tsunade was trying to concentrate on a mission report sent in by an Umbu notorious for his near-unreadable handwriting, when the door to her office flew open, and a red and blonde blur came rushing in, disrupting her focus. "Granny, Granny! It's finally spring!" chattered a very hyper Naruto Inuzuka, sporting a new look. He had ditched his jacket and now wore a mesh singlet underneath his chinin vest. "Where's that mission you promised?" "Naruto-kun." "That's not proper," said Hinata disapprovingly. During the winter, Hinata had taken up an apprenticeship with the Slug Sunin. With her Byakugan, gentle nature, excellent chakra control, and penchant for medicine, the meek Hyuga had all the proper bearings for a medicnin, and was an exceptionally good student. The blonde laughed nervously and scratched the back of his head. "Ihiha. What I meant to say was Lady Tsunade, do you have any good missions as of late?" The female Hokage glared at the Inuzuka duo before her. "If I give you your mission, will you leave me the hell alone and let me do my work in peace?" Naruto flashed her his infamous foxy grin. "You bet." Fine. Shizune. You called, Shishao. The poisons expert suddenly materialized from behind the Hokage's chair. Could you please bring in mission file A113? Yes ma'am. Shizune disappeared for a moment and returned shortly after with a small folder and handed it to Naruto. A C rank? Naruto asked, eyeing the mark on the cover. Shouldn't you be giving this to Kakashi-sensei first? What are you, an academy brat? You're a chunin for God's sakes. Tsunade retorted. You're a team leader now. Team leader? Sputtered the Inuzuka. Me. Yeah, team leader. Said the Sunin. That means you're in full command of a ninja squad, with members no higher than chunin rank of course. I'm in charge. Yes. Some Hokage you'd be if you can't even lead a bunch of genin, said Tsunade. Now please select your team members. Naruto opened the folder and leafed through its contents before closing it with a soft clap. You want me to go to Sea Country and kill something called a Kaima? Actually, Shizune corrected. Your mission is simply to protect a cargo ship bound for the land of water. Sea Country thrives on its shipping business, and the Kaima has been wreaking havoc among the freighters. If you are attacked, you have full authority to exterminate the Kaima. Team members. Reminded the slug Sunin. Alright, said Naruto. Judging by the mission objectives, these are the people I need for my team. A lean, lanky man scrutinized the group before him. Are you the ninja squad we requested for? Naruto stepped forward. Affirmative. I am Naruto Inuzuka and this is my Ninken partner Aomeru. With me are my squad members Hinata Hyuga. Hello. Said the girl. Kinchuchi. Pleased to meet you. Greeted the ex-Otonin. Rock Lee. It is most youthful to have met you, good sir. And Sasuke Uchiha. HN, grunted the raven. Whoa, hold up, said the man. You're just a bunch of kids. Where's your squad leader? Didn't you hear a thing I just said? Said the blonde with a hint of exasperation. I just introduced my squad. You mean? Yes. I am the squad leader. Aren't you a bit young to be a squad leader? Asked the man. Why yes. Yes I am, Naruto replied, shrugging. Well, okay then. My name is Afuda Banbaro, and I'm the captain of the cargo ship bound for the land of water. We'll be dash. Ah. A shrill cry cut the captain's speech short. The Konoha group turned to see a pair of burly men harassing a young girl in bandages. Get out of here, snarled one of the men, sending a kick to the girl's side. We don't like freaks in our town. Yeah, sneered the other man. Why don't you go back to the hell pit ya crawled out of? He hurled a rock at the girl only to have it deflected by a swing of Naruto's Kodachi. Back off! Yelled the blonde. Why don't ya pick on someone your own size? Butt out, you brat! Yelled the first man. Yeah, supplied the other man. This is between us and this monster here. He gave the girl a degrading look. So get lost. That's it. You're asking for it. Come on, Aomeru. Let's school these jerks. So you want a piece of us, eh? Challenged the second man, getting into a stance. Well I'm game. It'll be like taking candy from a oof. He was cut off by Aomeru ramming into his stomach, before spinning into a roll and connecting again with his feet. Naruto followed suit and nailed down the first man with a vicious barrage of Inuzuka-style taijutsu. Within seconds, the two thugs were out like a light. Naruto extended a helping hand to the girl. Hey, are you okay? He asked. However, the girl simply slapped the hand away before running off. Hey! What was that all about? The blonde called after the retreating figure. He turned to his Ninken. Now what do you suppose was eating her? She's lost her sense of trust, said Kin, coming beside Naruto. Naruto turned to look at the ex-Oto genin. Her sense of trust. Yeah, muttered the raven-haired girl, her eyes hardening. If you've been betrayed by a very close confidant, you have the tendency to lose your faith in just about everyone and everything. You become cynical, if you will. A lot on your mind. Naruto turned his gaze from the retreating shoreline to see Hinata coming towards him. Yeah. He murmured, lazily petting Aomaru. It's that girl from earlier. And what Kin said? I just can't stop but think about how anyone could be that evil too. He shuddered. God, I can't even say it. To what? Hinata asked, genuinely confused. To betray someone, the blonde whispered, putting stress on the word betray. Whoever caused it broke her trust. Her trust. Hinata put a comforting hand onto the boy's shoulder. Naruto. We're entering the Riptide Zone, announced the ferryman rowing the Konoha group and Banbaro towards the main island. So hang on tight, folks. Naruto held onto Aomaru and grabbed tightly onto the boat's side hull as the tiny vessel made its course through the patch of vortices and eddies. However, a particular violent whirlpool sent the boat lurching, and both Naruto and Aomaru fell overboard. Naruto! Aomaru! Hinata screamed, scrambling towards the spot where her friends had been thrown off. It took the combined efforts of Kin and Lee to hold her down to prevent the catboat from capsizing. Hinata, stay down, scolded Kin. Do you want us to go over too? Naruto and Aomaru are down there, and all you can think about is saving your own lives, Hinata half-sobbed. That's a rather unyouthful accusation, said Lee, wrinkling his nose. Kin-san is right, you know. If we go under, we can't help Naruto Taijo and his nin-ken. For now, let's just hope for the best that whoa. Look at that. Everyone in the boat looked in surprise as the bandaged girl from earlier jumped in and swam towards the downed blonde. Is she for real? Kin asked, more to herself than to the others. The currents'll kill her. Look at her go. Lee remarked, clearly impressed with how the girl was handling the currents. She's actually doing it. Oh. She's got them. He began waving his arms to signal the girl. Hey. Hey. We're over here. But instead of swimming towards the boat, the girl turned left towards a small group of rocky islands. Hey. Come back. Yelled Lee. Where are you going? They're headed towards the eastern keys, said Banbaro, staring at the direction to which the girl had swam off with Naruto and Aomaru in tow. This isn't good. Why? Asked Hinata, getting increasingly worried for Naruto's well-being. Because, Banbaro replied with a shudder. The eastern keys is where many of the Kaima sightings have been reported. If that is the case, let's set course towards the eastern keys, said Sasuke. Are you mad? Asked Banbaro. Why the hell would you want to do that? Because, answered the Uchiha with a dangerous flicker in his eyes. One of our mission objectives is to exterminate the Kaima. Naruto felt something when flick across his face repeatedly. As he tried to push it away, his hand came across something furry, and he realized who it was. Aomaru. Okay, I'm up. Laughed the blonde, pushing away the covers. He frowned. Covers? He hadn't been sleeping. In fact, he was on a boat when they had hit a rough patch, and the Inuzuka duo were pitched into a raging whirlpool. Well, if you're up, that means you and your lady friend can up and leave then, said a figure standing by the doorway. What lady friend? Naruto asked, turning to face the speaker. Oh. He gasped, recognizing the person. You're that girl from earlier. Were you the one who saved me from the whirlpool? Yeah. The girl muttered in a bitter voice. Now that we're even, why don't you take your lady friend and get off my property? Look, Missy, said the blonde. If you didn't want me here, why didn't you just drop me off at the nearest inn? And just so you know, I wasn't with any lady since Aomaru and me fell in the water. Oh really? Purred Anko Mitarashi. Naruto gasped in surprise. Crazy lady? What are you doing here? I'm going to pretend I never heard that, said Anko rather sweetly. But if you ever call me that again, I'll mount your balls right over my fireplace, am I clear? Naruto gulped audibly. Crystal. Now seriously, what brought you to Sea Country? Anko grinned. Well, it's like this dash. Flashback. You want me to what? Tsunade glared at several council members, all of whom were staunch supporters of Sasuke Uchiha. Word has it that Sasuke Uchiha has been roped into a mission under the leadership of Chunin Naruto Inuzuka, explained council member Wajuru. Tsunade raised an elegant brow. And what does this have to do with your request? It is a known fact that Sasuke-kun and Inuzuka-san are not on the best of terms, said council member Ryushida. I fear that Inuzuka-san's jealousy will take over and he might do away with Sasuke-kun. Naruto-kun would never do something like that. Shizune declared. Oh, what do you know? Countered Ryushida. Inuzuka is a wily one. He might deliberately send Sasuke-kun to the front lines, hoping he would be killed. He might kill him in his sleep. He might dash. Tsunade slammed her hands onto the desk, splitting it in half. That's enough out of you. Records show that Naruto Inuzuka is known for thinking out of the box, but he has never been known to attack someone in such a dishonorable manner. Request denied. This is obviously a show of blatant favoritism, Wajuru roared. I see that it was a mistake voting you into office. Maybe dash. Are you questioning my integrity now? Tsunade growled. You wanna go at it? Fine. She pressed the intercom button. Anko. The snake mistress sunshined into the room a few seconds later. Yes'm, she said with a salute. Tsunade unrolled a blank scroll and wrote on it furiously, before rolling it back and handing it to Anko. I want you to see country and keep an eye on Naruto Inuzuka and Sasuke Uchiha. At the mention of the place, Anko's eyes grew big and wide. See country. Tsunade sensed Anko's uneasiness. Look, if you don't want to go, it's alright. I could always ask Genma or Reita to take care of it. No, said Anko, snapping out of her trance. I'll do it. I'll keep an eye out for those brats. Taking the scroll, she disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Tsunade turned an eye out to the council members gathered before her. There. I've already sent the most impartial agent I could find. If you have nothing else to say, get the hell out of my office. End flashback. So you're here to spy on me? Asked Naruto, suddenly not liking Tsunade very much. No, it's not like that, said Anko, waving her hands. I'm here to keep tabs between you and Uchiha and report to Lady Tsunade of any possible altercations between you two. And by the looks of it, those Uchiha loyalists are gonna eat their words. Any dislike for Tsunade was immediately stamped out of Naruto. Well, serves am right, he grumbled. Those hypocrites, questioning Granny Tsunade's honor like that. Chapter 50, Sea Snakes. 5 figures ambled out of the small catboat as it touched shore. Here we are, folks. The Eastern Keys, said the ferryman. From here, you're on your own. He shifted the mizzen and sailed back to the mainland. Arriving to the only village in the area, the Konoha group was shocked to find it devoid of life. Many of the stores and houses lay abandoned, and the remaining inhabitants kept their homes and business tightly shuttered. A few locals nervously shifted around their yards. Lee approached a middle-aged woman hanging up some freshly laundered clothes. Excuse me, ma'am. I was wondering if you've seen Dash. The woman took a look at Lee before shaking her head, and quickly walked back into her house. What was that all about? Asked the confused taijutsu user. Let me try, said Hinata. She approached an edgy-looking fisherman. I beg pardon, sir, but our friend has gone missing. Have you seen a blonde boy with a red puppy and a black-haired girl around here? You too, huh? Grunted out the fisherman. With all these disappearances going on, they ought to rename this place the Island of No Return. He picked up his net and walked away grumbling. Sasuke was getting impatient. All this small talk is getting us nowhere. He grabbed the nearest passerby and yanked him down by the collar. You. Tell us where the Kaima is. The fellow, a boy of about 16, appeared shocked at the Uchiha's brusqueness. Look man, lemme go. I don't know nothing about no Kaima. Either you tell us, Sasuke insisted, his sherry non-flaring. Or I will force it out of you. The boy shrank back, clearly intimidated by the pinwheel eye. I'm telling you, I don't know nothing. Uchiha, that's enough, ordered Kin. He obviously can't help us. She shook her head. And judging by everyone in this village, I'm beginning to think no one will. Just then, there was a giant two-headed dog reared its head over the horizon. Upon seeing it, the Konoha group immediately rushed to the site, leaving their client in a safe place where they would rejoin him later. If the Inuzuka were to resort to the Kanbihenge, it had to be a really hairy situation. Anko and the Inuzuka duo were just about to leave when someone began pounding against the door of the cottage. "Open up, Isaribi," an impatient-sounding voice ordered. "I know you're in there." The bandaged girl, now known as Isaribi, pushed past the Konohanin and peered through the hinge cracks. Upon seeing who it was, she opened the door. An ugly man with gray hair and a low ponytail made his way inside. He had pale skin and wore a white lab coat. At the sight of him, Aomaru growled angrily. "What took you so long?" growled Ugly. I am sorry, Master Amici," stammered Isaribi. "I was attending to some things when dash." "No more excuses," barked the man called Amici. "We are already delayed as is." He was about to backhand her, when a firm hand shot out and wrenched his pale one. "Still picking on little girls, Amici?" asked Anko, disgust dripping out of her voice. "I see you haven't changed a bit." "Ah. If it isn't little Anko-chan," sneered the man. "My, how you've grown." Naruto's gaze shifted from Anko to Amici and vice versa. "You know this creep, Anko?" Anko's hands shook as she gripped onto Amaka's wrist. "Unfortunately, yes." Flashback. 10-year-old Anko Mitarashi glared at the boy before her. "I'll kill you yet." She scrambled out of the mud and took a swing at him, but missed. She fell back in the muck. The 15-year-old simply smiled disdainfully at her. "You're still too weak. Why Master Orochimaru picked you is beyond me. Weakling." Anko lunged at him again, only to have the boy push her down and grab her arm, twisting it to a painful angle. Anko struggled from underneath him. "Damn it, Amici, it hurts." "Lego. Not until you admit that I'm stronger than you are." Anko kicked out from under Amaka's hold. "Never." Amici gave the girl a patronizing smile. "Oh well, your loss." He twisted her arm until the joint was dislocated. "Have fun explaining that to Master Orochimaru." Anko glared at the retreating back of the Snake Sunin's assistant. She was really beginning to hate the young upstart. End flashback. "So what brings your ugly mug here?" Anko asked, her grip never wavering. "Shouldn't you be lurking around Orochimaru, so as we speak?" "Feh. The old crackpot has been going on and on about his personal revenge for the last 5 years. I parted ways with him just about a year ago." "Figures," muttered Anko, shoving the rogue scientist away from her in disgust. "I wouldn't be surprised if you betrayed him. Takes a traitor to know a traitor." Amaka's laugh was dry and humorless. "Betray is such a strong word, Anko-chan. I prefer to call it an independent parting. Besides, when has Orochimaru ever taught us nonsense such as trust, loyalty, and honor?" As the man spoke, Naruto felt his rage grow. He did not just throw 3 of the most important Inuzuka doctrines into the mud. As if possessed by the founding Inuzuka, the blonde had sped over and clawed Amici right in the jaw. "You take that back!" he yelled. "You take that back, you asterisk $, carat percent and, percent carat hashtag." Amici fingered his jaw, smiling sinisterly. "Why should I? Trash such as that has only hindered me so far. I do not believe in such poppycock." This time, Anko was the one who attacked. "You son of a and hashtag asterisk." She lunged towards him, her fist cocked back ready to strike, but Amici had other plans. At a snap of his fingers, 2 figures leapt out of the water. One constricted his arms around Naruto and Aomaru, whereas the other had Anko in a chokehold and was slowly siphoning out her chakra. Putting 2 and 2 together, both Anko and Naruto recognized their captors as the extant members of Team Kabuto Yoroi Akadu and Misumi Tsurage. Amici sneered nastily. "I'd love to stay and chat, Anko-chan, but my agenda's already behind schedule. Come Isaribi." Isaribi took a step, but faltered as pained screams from Anko and the Inuzuka duo permeated through the air. Amaka's eyes narrowed dangerously. "What are you dallying there for, Isaribi? I said come." Do you really want to jeopardize your one chance of regaining a normal life? There's nothing wrong with Isaribi. Naruto shouted. She is normal. Amichi laughed again. Is that so? Oh, how she has played you the fool. He walked over to the girl and savagely ripped off her bandages, revealing fish scales. You see this? He asked, pointing to the scales. Do you call this normal? Anko and the Inuzuka duo looked at the girl in shock. Good God, Isaribi. Naruto whispered. What happened to you? Orochimaru happened to her, that's what, Anko growled. Whatever happened to Isaribi has his stench all over it. Amichi slowly clapped his hands. And you hit the nail on the head again, Anko-chan. Yes, Isaribi is one of Orochimaru's experiments, a freak of science shunned by her own people. But with my help, she has the chance to return to normal, for a small favor of course. He turned to Isaribi. Come, freak. Anko struggled against her captor. No, Isaribi. Don't listen to him. Don't. Senegaishu. A pair of vipers slithered out of the sleeves of her trench coat and sank their fangs into her captor's hands. With a yelp of pain, the man let her go. Now free, the snake mistress dashed towards Isaribi, but it was too late. Amichi had taken her and disappeared into a cloud of smoke, his condescending laugh still lingering behind. With Anko loose, Misumi knew he had to end it quickly. If action was not taken soon enough, the plan would be muddled by the Konohinin. Acting decisively, he coiled his arms tighter around Naruto and Aomeru. However, the blonde Inuzuka was not going to go down without a fight. Acting on instinct, he called out, Aomeru, use dynamic marking. The puppy obeyed the command and unleashed a spray of urine, soaking the goon holding them captive. In his disgust, he loosened his hold, freeing the Inuzuka duo, who wasted no time in taking down the enemy before them. Aomeru, use Koinu Koriguru, trans, puppy roll. Naruto yelled, getting into the Inuzuka taijutsu stance. The puppy complied and rammed into Misumi's stomach, before spinning into a roll and connecting again with his feet. With the wind knocked out of the enemy, Naruto rushed in for the kill. Oakamiutsu, trans, wolf strike. He dashed towards the man and hit him several times with the sharp end of his hand in a dagger-like motion, before sending him down with a sweep kick. You Konoha scum! Shouted Yoroi. He stabbed his wound, leeching it of any poison that may have injected by the vipers. You have definitely interfered with the wrong people. Kama no chakra. Tapping the chakra he had drained from Anko, he molded it into several sickles and sent it hurtling towards Anko and the Inuzuka duo. If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get. Anko growled, flipping through the hand signs. Katon, Karyu and Dan. A flaming dragon burst out of nowhere and rocketed itself towards the man only to be countered and neutralized by a similar dragon made of water, resulting into a massive cloud of steam. Using the obscuring cloud as an advantage, Naruto and Aomeru took it as their chance to attack. Jinjo be henge, Sutaro. They transformed into a massive two-headed dog and made use of the Garuga, connecting Misumi. The man himself would have been torn to bits had he not made use of the Nan no Kaizu, trans, soft physique modification, the softness cushioning the force of the impact. Damn it, this is getting nowhere. Anko growled. She made a handspring and catapulted herself into the air. Positioning her hand in a blade-like manner, and launched herself towards Yoroi. But what she did not expect was the enemy to burst into water upon impact. Mizu Bunshin. She gasped. Then where dash? Over here, Suro no Jutsu. The burst clone reformed into a sphere of water, trapping Anko from within, while the real Yoroi jumped out from underground. Kakurimi no Jutsu, trans, camouflage technique, Yoroi chuckled. Oh, how it amuses me that you Konohinin rely so much on the flashy jutsus that you forget that the academy basics can also be a force reckoned with. Oh, really now? Laughed Anko. Well then, you should really take your own advice. The woman in the bubble burst into a cloud of smoke and the real Anko sprang from the steam cloud and struck Yoroi with an axe kick. Kawarimi no Jutsu, yawned Anko, looking boredly at her nails. I guess the old girl's still got it. Meanwhile, Misumi and Naruto and Aomaru were standing on a vicious stalemate. While the blonde and his ninken were relatively efficient ninjas, considering their age, Misumi, being much older, had the advantage of experience. Just as he was about to close in on the Inuzuka duo, there was a shout of dynamic entry. And sandal-clad foot entered Naruto's field of vision and connected with Misumi's head. Lee. The blonde stared incredulously at his erstwhile teammate. How'd you find us? We saw the two-headed dog from the distance, replied the bushy-eyed boy, getting into his Gakuen stance. And we all know there's only one clan in the whole wide world that can do that. We don't have time for this. Sasuke growled as he came in. Our mission is to kill the Kaima, not play tiddlywinks with these losers. Oh stuff it, Uchiha. Kin retorted, drawing out her senbon. If you want to go get the Kaima, be my guest. But our job is also to eliminate any possible threats to our mission, and right now it looks like these posers are one of them. Well said, Chuchi, Misumi drawled venomously. Looks like we've lost another one. Pity. I remember you being quite the zealot for Lord Orochimaru. Kin inwardly shuddered at the memories, but quickly squelched it. Yeah, well that was a long time ago in a galaxy far away. As for current events, you're going down. Tough words for a little girl, sneered Yoroi. I still remember you whimpering oh so piteously every time we dash. Shut up. Naruto roared, the grip on his Kodachi tightening. How dare you talk about Kin like that? Kin raised her hand. It's alright, Inuzuka, no need for that. After I'm done schooling these jerks, they'll be the ones who'll be crying like a baby. And I shall stand by you, said Lee. It was unyouthful of these men to speak of you in such a manner. Me too, said Hinata, shifting into her Gyuken stance. Ditto, said Naruto, and Aomaru barked his affirmation. Here, here. Chirped Anko. Because no one should ever talk to a lady like that. I'm not, snapped the Uchiha. Should have known you were too scared to face the Kaima yourselves. Losers. He broke off from the group. Naruto grabbed his shoulder. Oh no, you don't. As much as I don't like you, I can't let you get creamed out there. There's a reason why they called for a ninja team to deal with Kaima, and with that reason, you're standing by with us until we're good and ready to resume our mission. Sasuke shook off Naruto's hand. Don't touch me, peasant. I am from the noble Uchiha clan, so don't you assume you can just lord me around because you are now a Chunin, Inuzuka. With that, he ran off into the distance. Aomaru growled at the Uchiha's retreating back. I know, boy, Naruto replied. I wish I could just let Uchiha get mulched out there. Sweet Senju, I hate his guts. But we'd better go after him anyway. I'd have to have an angry mob at my hands if I brought him back in a body bag. I'll go with you, Anko volunteered. After all, I was assigned to keep tabs on you guys. I shall accompany you as well, Naruto-kun, said Hinata. You might need my help in tracking down Sasuke-san. Are you sure? Naruto asked the Hyuga. Kin and Lee might need your help. He motioned to the stare-down between Lee and Kin against Misumi and Yoroi. The two there against can be somewhat tricky. No, it's alright, Naruto, Kin replied. Lee and I can handle this. Besides, after what they said about me, things just got personal. But dash. We insist, Naruto Taijo, Lee interjected. Kin-san and I will deal with those two. You go after Uchiha. We'll catch up with you when we're done. Alright then, said Naruto, taking off into Sasuke's direction with Aomaru, Hinata, and Anko in tow. Watch yourselves against those two. Well, that was something, said Yoroi as he watched Naruto and the others go after Sasuke. Wasn't it, Misumi? Oh yes it was, Yoroi, answered Misumi. It was quite entertaining. He licked his lips. But not as entertaining as the aftermath of this fight. For once, I'd agree, Kin drawled. It would be really entertaining to see you have your butts handed to you by Konoha Genin for the second time in a row. Chapter 51, An Unlikely Partnership. As much as I don't like you, I can't let you get creamed out there. They called for a ninja team to deal with the Kaima, and you're standing by us until we're good and ready to resume the mission. Storming down the path, Sasuke clenched his fists as he fumed over the Inuzuka's words. How dare the presumptuous mutt imply that he was weak? Inuzuka was the weak one, not him. Without their flea-bitten partners, the Inuzuka clan would be reduced to nothing. At least, the Uchihas never had to rely on external intervention. From a dog nonetheless they defeated their enemies through sheer skill, and skill alone. And the Kaima? Pa. He was lightning type. With a few volts of electricity, the Kaima would be as good as fish fry. Help me. Sasuke was jolted out of his thoughts when an aged fisherman came scrambling up to him. Mr. Ninja, the man pleaded. You have to help. Please help. The Uchiha glared at him, and tried to sidestep the man, but the old salt was persistent. He simply followed the young raven, pleading on. Please help, the fisherman insisted, getting more desperate. My catch, my boat, my nets. The Kaima will destroy them all. At the mention of the Kaima, Sasuke quickly whipped around to face the fisherman. Take me to it, he said, eyes gleaming with anticipation. I will gladly exterminate the beast for you. I'll show you, Inuzuka. Soon you will know what the Uchiha blood is really capable of. A small red puppy sniffed the trail before running up the path, and halting to bark every now and then. Good work, Aomaru, announced the puppy's Inuzuka partner, a spiky-haired blonde with bright blue eyes and whisker marks marring his cheeks. He turned to the pair of females following him. He's close. He announced. That's what you said 15 minutes ago, complained the older of the females. I swear that Uchiha is a lot more trouble than he's worth. When we find him, I call dibs on throttling him a bit. Miss Anko, you can't do that, said the younger female, a pale-eyed girl. As unpleasant as he is, Uchiha-san is still a Konohanin, and an ally. Ally, my butt, snorted the one called Anko. He deliberately disobeyed his superior and ran off on his own. That's blatant insubordination right there. God have mercy on Uchiha if he did that under my command, because if he did. She trailed off, muttering under her breath. The young girl spoke no more, but simply looked at the Inuzuka, who simply shrugged as he returned the gesture. Shaking their heads at the absurdity of it all, they resumed their search. Kin and Lee stood back to back as they were hard-pressed by Misumi and Yoroi. The fight was proving to be a lot more taxing than previously thought, as Kin's previous association with the two meant that they could predict her moves, and their skills made it very dangerous for Lee to approach them. There is nothing you can do, Konoha scum, Misumi taunted. You might as well surrender now, and we may be merciful and dispatch of you quickly and painlessly. I will never give up. Lee declared, dropping his weights. Hachiman, Kaimon. Kyuaman. Siaman. There was a burst of chakra, and Lee suddenly vanished from where he was standing, only to reappear before Yoroi and kick him with a powerful sky kick. He then sped up to Misumi and battered him with a series of roundhouse kicks. Kin-san, now. Gotcha. The former Oto Kunoichi reached into her supply pouch and tossed several of her special senbon. The belled needles tinkled in the wind and Kin flipped through the hand signs. Magan, Jigoku no Suzu. The illusion took effect, and Misumi and Yoroi found themselves in a dreadful nightmare world clouded in fire, brimstone, and the incessant tolling of bells pounding into their heads. You'll have to try harder than that, you little whore, Yoroi shouted, despite pain of having the underworld demons claw at him with their grappling hooks. You call this little tea party hell? Guess what, real life's a whole lot worse. He laughed maniacally, as black marks started creeping out of his shoulder. Kin was dumbfounded. A cursed seal? But I thought. Well, you thought wrong, Kin-chan, sneered Misumi, who had similar markings spreading out. This is the mark of Orochimaru's elite corps, but what would you know? You were but a lowly pawn. I must say your name is the ultimate irony. It means gold, when in fact you are absolutely worthless. This madness ends now. Shouted Lee, unwrapping the bandages on his arms. You're a wrench. As the taijutsu specialist thrust his arm towards the two men, he was suddenly grabbed by Misumi, and catapulted him towards Yoroi, who then used the Sui Kyuzeri no Jutsu to restrain the boy and siphon his chakra. Alarmed, Kin moved to Lee's aid, only to be pinned down by Misumi. Your skills may have improved, but you're still dead weight, Misumi jeered as he viciously smashed Kin onto the hard earth. I would like to say it's a shame to see you die, but that would be a lie. Just as Misumi was about to slam Kin back down to the ground, the girl managed to stab him with a senbon needle. Taken by surprise and pain, Misumi's grasp faltered, freeing Kin. You'll pay for that, you miserable end %. Misumi snarled. Au contraire, Kin drawled as she made 4 consecutive horse seals. It's about time I returned the favor. Magan, Shikishu no Mokushi, trans, demonic illusion, 4-hour seaman of the apocalypse. 4 figures clad in samurai armor, riding winged horses descended from the darkened sky. The first figure wore red armor, rode a red horse, and was armed with a bloody wazukashi. The second horseman wore white armor, rode a white horse, and carried a flask of poison. The third rider was dressed in black armor, rode a black horse, and held a weighing scale. And the last horseman was dressed in an ash-green armor, rode a similarly colored horse, and wielded a katana. At their appearance, both Yoroi and Misumi paled visibly. Upon seeing the cowed expression on the Oto Jonin, Kin's lips lit with a menacing smirk. It was going to be so much fun to crush them completely. Amici tapped his foot impatiently. What is keeping those two? How long does it take for a pair of sound elite to deal with those snot-nosed Konoha brats? He rounded onto his companion, a creature that seemed part girl, and part fish. This is your fault. He shouted, shaking her hard. Had you not been playing tea party with those two, we could have finished the operation by now. I'm sorry, Master Amici, but... The fish girl was cut off by a sharp slap to the face. Sorry, ain't gonna cut it. Amici screamed, growing more livid by the second. I should just kill you right now, you sad, pathetic excuse of a freak. So the feared Kaima is nothing but a groveling wretch, came a new, condescending voice. And to think those villagers are afraid of it, what a joke. Who are you? Amici shouted. Show yourself. Who am I? There was a dark chuckle as the owner of the voice stepped out of the spot he had been concealed at. Who am I? I am your executioner. Reikyu. A ball of lightning shot towards Amici and the Kaima, but the two managed to scramble away. The projectile could make contact. Very clever, lauded the Raiden user. Now let's see if you can evade this Sufushazen no Tachi. A trio of shuriken flew towards the fish girl, and acting quickly, she managed to evade it. But instead of simply embedding itself into the ground, the shuriken suddenly veered off into different directions, still following the fish girl, until the wires they were connected to had wrapped themselves around her, immobilizing her. The Raiden user chuckled. Got you now. Amici could not believe his eyes at the display of control. How? He sputtered. He was answered when the Raiden user stepped out into the light, revealing a young boy with spiked-up black hair held back by a Konoha forehead protector and proud aristocratic features. But what was disturbing about this boy was the way his eyes blazed crimson. The Shari-nan. Amici gasped. You are of the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha smirked. Well, you got that in one. Kaminari Ito, trans, thunder thread. A stream of lightning chakra channeled through the wires binding the fish girl, inevitably shocking her. The creature screamed in agony, before going limp. And that takes care of that, said the Uchiha. Now to ensure that the likes of you shall never be seen again. Chidori. However, as he lunged towards the fish girl, he did not expect her to retaliate. Opening her mouth, she managed to spit out a powerful stream of water, knocking back the Uchiha. Uchiha chuckled darkly. I see you still have some fight left. Well, let me remedy that. Raiden, Raisenka. No. Futon, Kaze no Yoroi. A blonde and green blur jumped in front of the fish girl and intercepted the attack. There was a violent explosion, and the blonde was thrown several feet back. Woof. Naruto. A red-furred puppy came running in, followed by two females, a purple-haired woman in a trench coat, and a young girl with pale eyes. I'm all right, muttered the blonde Chunin, picking himself out of the massive crates. Hinata, you take care of Isaribi, it looks like she needs some medical aid. The Hyuga girl complied and carefully shuffled the barely conscious fish girl out of the battlefield, when she was halted by the Uchiha. "What are you doing, siding with the enemy like that?" Uchiha hissed, his Sharingan flaring. "Sasuke-san, please move out of the way," said Hinata as bravely as she could. "This girl is serious need of help. This girl is the Kaima," snarled Sasuke. "Now stop interfering with the mission and let me finish the job." "Back off, Uchiha," growled Naruto as he stalked over. "Hinata's just doing her job. I'm the one who ordered her to take care of that girl. If you want to fulfill the mission objectives so much, why don't you pull your head out of your butt and listen to what your team leader has to say for once?" Sasuke's eyes widened with horror when Naruto uttered the words, "team leader." How could he have failed to realize that the fate of his entire ninja career lay within Naruto's hands? Naruto Inuzuka was his team leader. Were he to file a mission report filled with nothing but negative reports on Sasuke's performance, the Uchiha's ninja career would be nothing more than a cooked goose. Inwardly hating himself, Sasuke begrudgingly allowed himself to submit to Naruto's command. I understand. What do I have to do?" he gritted out, shocking both Naruto and Hinata. Naruto was the first to recover. "The real enemy's the ugly one over there," he said, pointing to the furious Amici who was being held off by Anko. "You, me, and Aomaru will be teaming up to take him down. Best course of action would be to capture him. No need for unnecessary bloodshed." "Got it." The Uchiha grimly nodded and the red puppy yipped in reply. "Good. Uchiha, you flank left, and Aomaru and I'll try to clip him from the right." The blonde Chunin clapped his hands together. "Now, let's do this." That's it for part 10. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.